Sawadee-ka and good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, the 15th of December, 2021, and this is the English language summary of the press briefing by the Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration, or CCSA. Let me begin today with a summary of some key points that were shared in the Thai briefing. Those are regarding booster shots, New Year's celebrations, and the situation of the Omicron variant in Thailand. Regarding the booster shots, those who are interested in receiving booster shots, in Bangkok there are two venues to do so. The first is the Thai-Japanese Bangkok Youth Center at Din Dang, which is available as a walk-in site. The second venue is at Bang Sue Station. For this venue, you will need to pre-enroll in the QQ application. QQ, that is QUEQ application. For those in other provinces besides Bangkok, you will contact the hospital or venue you had the second vaccine. For the second issue that was covered in the Thai briefing, there were reminders regarding the measures in place for New Year's celebrations in Thailand this year. As I mentioned in the briefing last time, for venues where there are 1,000 persons and up attending, you will have to be fully vaccinated and also have an ATK test. At venues where there are less than 1,000 persons in attendance, it will only be required for you to be fully vaccinated. Again, everyone must comply with the COVID-free setting measures, and the venue is open air. For alcoholic beverage consumption on New Year's Eve, it has been relaxed and allowed up until 1 a.m. of New Year's Day. Regarding the Omicron situation around the world, actually, and in Thailand, there are currently more than approximately 70 countries that have now detected the Omicron variants and are adjusting entry measures appropriately. In Thailand, thus far, 11 persons are highly suspected to have the Omicron variants. 3 are awaiting final genome sequencing for verification. Let me now turn to our usual updates that we have for audiences at home regarding Thailand Pass. And as this is the second month of the government's reopening policy, we will take a look at those numbers with a slide that's coming up very soon. As of 11 a.m. today, we have logged a total of 544,487 applications on the Thailand Pass system. To look at those numbers with a little bit more depth, in a weekly tally, you will see that during the 1st to the 14th of December, a total of 103,263 travelers entered Thailand. Of this number, the majority, that's almost 89,000, that's 88,985 travelers specifically, entered via the Test and Go or Quarantine Exemption Scheme. 11,542 travelers entered via the Sandbox scheme, and the remaining 2,736 travelers entered via alternative quarantine. The majority of international travelers are coming from the following top 10 countries of origin, namely Germany, the UK, Russia, the UAE, the US, France, Sweden, Israel, South Korea, and the Netherlands. Out of the total number of travelers, only 189 tested positive for COVID-19. That's equivalent to approximately 0.18%. That's 0.18%, which is relatively low. Again, we continue to see this as a strong indication of the effectiveness of the measures in place, which have been adapted to accommodate the country's reopening. Let me now turn to updates as usual in progress on vaccinations, and we have a slide up there as usual for you today. Yesterday, we administered 393,116 doses of the vaccine, which increases the accumulated number to more than 98 million doses. That brings us to 69.5% of Thailand's population having received their first dose of the vaccine, and 60.6%, or more than 43 million people, having received their second dose. Again, boosters are encouraged, and we would therefore encourage those who are able to do so to contact the venues where they are available. For those who are not aware yet and have travel plans this holiday season and who have received vaccines in Thailand, you can get an e-vaccine passport issued by the Ministry of Public Health free of charge from now until the 31st of December 2021. The request for the e-vaccine passport can be made through the MAPROM application under the International Certificate menu. Let me now turn to updated numbers for the general situation. New confirmed cases in the next slide that is there for you now. New confirmed cases stand at 3,370 cases. This is another relatively low number. Yesterday, in fact, it was below 3,000. So this is a positive trend that we're seeing in the country. New recoveries are happily outpacing the number of new infections, and new recoveries stand at 4,557 cases. Unfortunately, we continue to record fatalities, and we have that number today at 29 cases. These cases continue to be seen in the older generation and those with chronic illnesses. Let's take a look now at the top 10 provinces in the next slide with the top COVID-19 cases. Again, you'll see those numbers in red and green. Red meaning there are more today than there were yesterday. Green meaning there is an improvement in the situation. Bangkok is recording the highest number of cases at 583 cases, followed by Chonburi, Nakhon Si Thammarat, Samut Prakan, Songkhla, Pattani, and the list goes on. Let me turn now to repeat some of the information that I shared on Monday regarding entering the country from the 16th of December onwards. These were measures that were reviewed and decided upon. And let me underline that we have had to do so due to the Omicron variant of the coronavirus in the country, so that this review concluded basically on reverting back to existing measures. Although we had hoped to ease some of those measures, unfortunately, the Omicron situation has forced us to return and err on the side of caution. Let me run through those very quickly. For the Test and Go scheme, international travelers will continue to be required to take the RT-PCR test once arriving and a self-ATK test on the 6th or 7th day of arrival. Travelers who enter into the pilot tourism or Sandbox areas are required to stay in the area again for 7 days as before moving to other areas. For those who are entering via the alternative quarantine scheme, travelers need to stay in the designated AQ hotel for 7 days and take the RT-PCR test twice. The government, together with our health experts, continue to keep a close eye on the overall COVID situation as well as the Omicron situation, and have been since the beginning. And we will continue to share as much information as possible on measures and other information. Please remain confident that we are doing our best, certainly, to ensure that everyone is safe, or as safe as can be in the country. Before closing today, let me share a bit of good news story, and we are pleased actually to congratulate all 10 countries, including Thailand, who recently received the United Nations Public Service Awards for various initiatives aimed at strengthening sustainable development goals. The award ceremony concluded on the 13th of December, very recently on Monday, and for Thailand, it was the Department of Disease Control actually that received the award for their initiatives under the topic of intelligent and sustainable public health emergency system in Thailand. It's a well-deserved recognition for the hard work of our medical personnel and all frontliners all frontliners around the world should be applauded for their efforts during these past 2 very difficult years. Let me now close today with a word on and our request as usual for your continued cooperation during this holiday season. That means universal prevention measures, wearing masks, social distancing, frequent hand washing, and vaccinations. That's all I have for today. As the weather continues to cool down in Bangkok and especially in other parts of the region, please take extra care and stay safe in the kingdom. สวัสดีค่ะ